I want you to listen to this 911 call. It came in at 3:47 a.m. August 11th. The caller is screaming, long, guttural, and panicked. But not a single word is understandable. The call lasted 23 seconds. That was the last time anyone heard from Courtney James. Courtney James was 24 years old, a graduate student from Oregon. She had a passion for solo hiking and remote nature photography. Friends called her fearless, smart, maybe a little too confident. In early August 2022, Courtney packed up her car and drove south toward the Shasta-Trinity National Forest in Northern California. She'd planned a 3-day hiking loop near an area called Grizzly Flat, deep in the forest and several miles from any cell reception. Her friends say she was chasing a sunset photo she'd seen online, a stunning view from an unmarked ridge. She messaged 2 friends on the drive down, "Wish me luck. Solo trip. No signal where I'm going, so talk soon." That was the last text anyone received. The plan was simple: hike in Friday, camp 2 nights, hike out Sunday. Courtney never came back. At 3:47 a.m. on Saturday, the second night of her trip, a 911 call was received by the Trinity County Dispatch. 911, what's your emergency? Screaming. High-pitched, terrified, but no words. Just a woman screaming. Hello? Ma'am, can you speak? More screaming. A crashing sound. Then silence. The call was traced to an area near Devil's Basin, a rugged part of the forest known for steep ravines and no cell coverage. The weird part? Courtney's phone shouldn't have had a signal. Yet the call went through. Investigators would later say the signal bounced off something, maybe a ranger tower repeater or even a satellite. But the coordinates never made sense. The phone pinged somewhere 20 miles from where she was believed to be. When rangers arrived at her planned trailhead Sunday morning, her car was still there. Locked. No sign of a break-in. No sign of Courtney. Search teams were launched immediately. Helicopters, dogs, ground teams. Nothing. 3 days later, they found her tent. It was located off the main trail, nearly 2.7 miles off course, in a clearing surrounded by pine trees. Her tent was zipped shut from the outside. Inside, her sleeping bag was laid out, her backpack tucked neatly in the corner. Her boots were placed beside the flap. There were signs she'd made dinner the night before: a stove, a bowl, and a half-eaten meal. But she was gone. No drag marks. No footprints. No animal tracks. No blood. Just gone. Search dogs brought to the scene refused to enter the clearing. One reportedly sat down, tail tucked, whining, and refused to move forward. The handler said the dog had never acted like that before in any operation. The only unusual clue? Courtney's phone gone, along with her small audio recorder that she used to narrate her hikes. To understand how strange this is, you need to know Courtney. She wasn't a thrill seeker. She was careful, methodical. She planned her trips weeks in advance. She had GPS backups, printed maps, emergency flares. She documented everything. On her YouTube channel, which still exists today, she posted vlogs from every trip, her gear, her meals, even her thoughts while walking alone through the woods. She once said in a video, "I'm not scared of being alone in the woods. I'm scared of not understanding what's around me." Her last upload was 4 days before the trip. It was titled, "Solo Travel Tips plus Why I'm Going Offline This Weekend." In the comments, someone wrote, "Be safe. You're braver than I am." Courtney replied, "Nothing out there but trees and stars, smiley face." Rangers found a strange marker near the tent site. 15 feet up a tree, someone had carved a small circle with a line through it, a symbol not part of any known hiking or ranger system. Locals later told reporters that the symbol matched stories from native folklore, a glyph representing a watcher, a spirit that lives in the trees and follows travelers who go alone. The search expanded after the tent was found. Then they found the backpack. 3 days after the tent discovery, a volunteer searcher noticed something odd about a cluster of pine trees near a ridgeline. Something hanging. Courtney's backpack was found lodged between 2 branches, 30 feet up, as if it had been thrown into the canopy. Inside, her food was still intact. Water bottle full. Nothing had been rummaged through. Her spare clothes folded. A flashlight still working. But the weirdest part? Her trail journal, which she wrote in every night, was missing the final 2 pages. Torn out. Carefully. They were found 2 days later, scattered near a stream half a mile away. Only one entry was legible. It had no date, no heading. Just 4 sentences written in shaky handwriting. "I heard something walking behind me for over an hour. When I turned, there was nothing. Always nothing. It stops when I stop. Moves when I move. It's still out there. watching me from behind the trees. That was the last thing Courtney ever wrote. Media outlets picked up the story. Solo hiker disappears after bizarre 911 call. No clues found. Forest screams lead nowhere. The official search lasted 12 days. Then it was called off. Unofficially, it never stopped. Online sleuths, missing 411 followers, cryptid hunters all picked up the scent. Some believe it was a rogue person in the woods. Others say animal attack. But no tracks. No signs of struggle. And then there's the call. People have analyzed the 911 recording. It's been slowed down, filtered, enhanced. Some say you can hear a second sound in the background like branches snapping or whispering. One audio engineer said the background contains infrasound frequencies below what the human ear can consciously register, often associated with feelings of dread and paranoia. 2 months after her disappearance, hikers found something odd at campsite 33, 11 miles from her planned route. On the side of a rock wall was a faint handprint pressed into the dust, too high for a normal person to reach without climbing. Beside it, scratched into the stone, was a single word. Don't. The search team thought this case was unique. But when they told an old ranger where they found Courtney's tent, he turned pale. Then he said something that haunted me for weeks. They always take one. Same place. Same silence. And no one ever sees it coming. Grizzly Flat isn't on most maps. That's not a mistake, it's just too remote, too wild. Nestled deep in the Shasta-Trinity National Forest, it's surrounded by steep ridges, hidden canyons, and dense pine forests where GPS fails and compasses spin. Locals call it Devil's Forest. Hikers whisper about the place, but most won't go near it. There are stories, old ones, about the land being cursed. About something that walks among the trees after dark, watching from just out of sight. Native Winta legends call it the Su-Tu-Ka, the dark one that follows. Some say it's just a story told to keep kids from wandering off. But others, they've seen things. When Courtney's tent was found just north of Grizzly Flat, an old retired ranger named Harold Graves contacted investigators. I worked that section of the forest back in the 90s, he said. I know that area. I've been there before when another one went missing. That's when the story turned darker. Her name was Emily Rowe, 27 years old, grad student from Washington State. She vanished in the same area almost exactly 31 years earlier. August 1991. She too was an experienced hiker. And she too went alone. Emily's disappearance followed an eerily similar pattern. She entered the forest on a Friday, camped alone off-trail, never came back. Her tent was found fully zipped. Her boots left outside. Her trail journal ended mid-sentence. And just like Courtney, her backpack was later found hanging in a tree. Here's the strangest part. Emily also left behind an audio cassette recorder. It was found buried under a pile of rocks near her campsite. The tape was damaged, but one part remained. A single sentence. He's standing between the trees. I know he's not real, but I can hear him breathing. When Ranger Harold Graves heard about Courtney James, he asked one question. Was the tent zipped shut? When the deputy confirmed, Graves just nodded. Then it's the same. He told them about Emily Rowe. He told them about another case in 1978, and one in 1956. All hikers. All alone. All women. All vanished in the exact same quadrant of forest. Each case had one thing in common. Only one person ever went missing at a time. There can be a dozen hikers out there, Graves said, but it only ever takes one. That's the pattern. That's the rule. When asked what he thought it was, he said something strange. I don't know what it is, but I know it's patient. And I know it watches from the tree line. Always just out of sight. Always one step behind. Graves said the forest has soft spots, places where reality feels thin. Where time slips. Where even animals won't go. He said Courtney's tent was right in one of those spots. In 2013, a backpacker named Jake Turner had a terrifying encounter just one ridge south of where Courtney went missing. Jake was hiking with a group of friends, 6 total, when he decided to go off-trail alone to find a stream. He was gone 90 minutes. When he returned, he was pale, shaking, and couldn't speak. Later, after therapy and a hospital stay, he gave this statement. I thought I saw a man standing in the trees. He didn't move. Didn't blink. I thought he was a ranger, but when I waved, he didn't wave back. He was just wrong. Like he didn't belong. And then he was suddenly gone. Jake said he turned and walked fast, but every 10 steps, he'd hear a second set of footsteps behind him. Soft. Deliberate. Mirroring his pace. But when he stopped, they stopped. When he finally ran, the sounds vanished. But when he reached camp, one of his friends asked a question that still haunts him. "Hey man, who was the guy in the woods behind you?" Despite weeks of searching, no new leads emerged. Her case became another line on the long list of forest disappearances, just vague enough to ignore, but strange enough to remember. Online forums exploded. People began comparing Courtney's case to Emily Rowe. Some noticed the 31-year gap between them. Some called it a coincidence. Others believed the forest feeds on cycles. Every few decades it calls someone in. And then someone found something chilling in a public archive. A report from 1929. A man named Daniel Huxley, a timber surveyor, went missing in the same zone. His last entry in a logbook? "Something is following me through the trees. I saw it last night. A shape, tall and still. I turned my lantern on it, but it vanished. I've moved camp twice. It always finds me again." He vanished 3 days later. Never found. His logbook, recovered by another surveyor, ended with, "It speaks without words. I hear it in my dreams. I think it wears a face that isn't its own." In the months after Courtney's disappearance, strange reports began surfacing online. Hikers hearing a woman's voice calling for help but unable to locate the source. A campsite where boots were found perfectly placed but no sign of the owner. An anonymous photo posted to a missing persons subreddit showing a figure in the woods with no visible face. Then came the recording. 5 months after Courtney vanished, a group of college students exploring near Devil's Basin found a small black device buried under moss and pine needles. It was her audio recorder. They turned it into the ranger station, and after weeks of analysis, the FBI confirmed it was hers. The audio files were corrupted except one. The final recording. It was timestamped just 2 hours before her 911 call. Here's what she said. "I've been walking in circles for hours. My compass stopped working. The trees. I swear they weren't here before. Something's wrong with this place. I keep hearing breathing behind me. But there's no wind. No animals. Just me. And it's getting closer. Pause. Footsteps. I think I made a mistake coming here." Then static. And one final whisper. A second voice, low and raspy. "You were always meant to." I asked them to draw what they saw. Both men, different times, different years, described the same figure. Tall, thin, standing still. But when they drew the face, they both left it blank. 2 days into the search for Courtney James, a volunteer rescue team from Redding, 4 men, all experienced, swept the eastern ridge near Devil's Basin. The area was steep, heavily wooded, and known for low visibility. That morning, 2 members of the team, Ben Walker and Jason Myers, reported a strange encounter that left them shaken. Jason was the first to see it. "We were moving up toward a ridge when I spotted someone, maybe 30 yards off. Tall guy. Just standing there between 2 trees. I thought it was another searcher at first, but he didn't move. At all. Not even a twitch. Then tried calling out. No response. He just kept staring. At least I think he was. I couldn't see a face. He was in shadow, but even when the sun shifted, it was just blank." They both described the same figure. Over 6 feet tall. Wearing dark clothing. Perfectly still. No visible face. When they moved toward it, it vanished. Ben says the moment they crossed the ridge, it was like the whole forest changed. Like the air got heavier. Everything went dead silent, no birds, no wind. They requested to be reassigned to a different area. Neither man ever returned to Devil's Basin. After the encounter, both Ben and Jason were asked separately to sketch what they saw. The results were disturbing. 2 nearly identical drawings. A tall humanoid figure. Thin limbs. Long torso. And a completely blank oval where the face should be. Not distorted. Not shadowed. Just nothing. When shown the sketches, Courtney's mother reportedly broke down crying. She said that a week before her daughter left, Courtney had described a nightmare. "I was walking alone in the woods and something was following me. When I turned around, it looked human, but its face was smooth. Like a mask made of skin." As the investigation continued, online sleuths began comparing photos from different missing persons cases tied to the area. And that's when a disturbing pattern emerged. 3 different people over a 40-year span had taken photos shortly before vanishing. In each case, there's a distant figure in the background, hard to see at first, but always there. 1978, a photo from a family trip shows 16-year-old Jeremy Colt near a trail sign. In the far background, partially obscured by trees, a figure stands motionless. 1991, a photo from Emily Rowe's disposable camera was developed by her family. In one image, snapped near a stream, a tall shape stands at the edge of the frame. 2022, a GoPro frame from Courtney's hike, pulled from a cloud backup by her friends, shows her smiling near her tent. But behind her, down the slope, is a tall black figure. No details, just standing there. Every figure. Same height, same posture, same distance, always far enough to be missed until you look closer. Facial features? Not a single one. Remember Harold Graves, the retired ranger from Part 2? After seeing the footage, he went on record for the first time in a decade. That thing? I've seen it before. Once. In 1982. A cold morning. I was alone checking fire breaks. I saw a man standing on the ridge. He didn't move. When I called out, he turned. And he had no face. He described it as like staring into a void. He never returned to that section of the forest again. Not even after retirement. A forestry surveillance drone flown in early 2023 over Devil's Basin captured something odd. While reviewing footage, a technician noticed a 2-second glitch. At timecode 1 hour 14 minutes and 27 seconds, a frame showed a tall black figure standing among the trees, again, perfectly still. It appeared in only one frame. The drone was flying at 200 feet. No other images from before or after showed the figure. Analysis of the frame concluded. Not an animal. Not a person. No visible features. And no heat signature. It was there, and then it wasn't. 6 months after Courtney's disappearance, a chilling post appeared on an anonymous Reddit account in the r/missing411 thread. The account, created the same day, uploaded a 10-second video with the caption. This is what follows them. The video was grainy, night vision footage, allegedly from a trail cam. The clip showed a forest at night, trees gently swaying. Then movement, slow. A tall, thin figure emerges. No sound, no face. As it passed by, the camera glitched. For one frame, the screen showed white noise and a distorted voice whispered. You see it when it's already too late. The video vanished hours later. Account deleted. Post scrubbed. But someone saved it. Local Winta elders once told stories of a being called Santal, translated as no face or the one who waits. The legend describes a forest spirit that mimics the form of humans but without a face. It cannot speak. It does not chase. It only follows. Until you are alone, and then it takes you. According to the tale, those who hear its breath are already marked. Those who look back into the trees and see it are chosen. It doesn't want worship. It doesn't want revenge. It only wants silence. And once it chooses someone, nothing can stop it. A private tip came to a YouTube investigator following the Courtney James case. The source claimed to be the niece of a woman who lived in a remote cabin near Grizzly Flat in the 80s and 90s. This woman, Ellen Monroe, kept to herself. Never left the woods. Before she died, she left behind a box of cassette tapes and journal entries all talking about the faceless thing. One entry reads, "It watched me from the trees for years. Never moved. Just waited. I never hiked alone after the first time I saw it. And I always left an offering at the old pine, meat, fruit, tobacco. I think that's why it never took me." Ellen's final tape was recorded just days before her death. On it, she whispers, "It's getting bolder. It's at the edge of the clearing now. I see it when I close my eyes. The silence isn't safe anymore. Here's what we know now. The faceless figure has been seen by unrelated people across nearly a century. It appears before someone vanishes, always at a distance. It is seen and then it is not. It leaves no tracks. No voice. Only silence. It doesn't always take someone. But when it does, there's no struggle. No clues. Just absence. Some believe it's a manifestation of the forest itself. Others believe it's ancient, a predator that's simply beyond understanding. But everyone agrees on one thing. It's always watching." The 911 call came in from coordinates near Devil's Basin. For minutes later, Courtney's phone pinged 6 miles away, across a river and 2 ridgelines. That should have been impossible. Unless something was helping her or chasing her. Let's break this down. At 3:47 a.m. August 11th, Courtney's chilling 911 call was placed from somewhere near Devil's Basin, a forest region with no known service, no towers, and extremely rugged terrain. The call lasted 23 seconds. Screaming. No clear words. Then silence. For minutes later, at 3:51 a.m., her phone connected briefly to a signal tower 6.3 miles southeast, near an area known as Benton Ridge. Investigators initially believed this was a glitch. But the phone ping was real. Verified. Timestamped. Logged. Even if Courtney had started sprinting the moment she hung up, there's no way a human, in the dark, barefoot or in socks, over rugged terrain could have made it that far in that little time. Unless she didn't walk there. Unless something took her. Let's talk terrain. Between the two coordinates lie a steep 400-foot descent, a fast-moving river with no bridge, dense, uneven forest paths, a 60-degree climb up Benton Ridge. For experienced hikers in daylight, this would take at least 2 hours. At night? Impossible. So how did her phone get there? There are 3 possibilities. 1. Someone or something moved it. 2. The phone glitched via satellite bounce. 3. Time didn't behave the way we think it should have. Only one of those possibilities shows up in 3 other missing persons reports tied to the region. In 2009, 2 backpackers, Darren and Luis, hiked through Grizzly Flat as part of a week-long trek. One evening, they got turned around and set up camp early. They agreed to wake at sunrise and continue. When they woke, their GPS watches showed 7:15 a.m. But the sky was pitch black. They assumed it was a storm until Darren checked his phone. No signal, but the date had changed. It wasn't Monday anymore. It was Wednesday. They had lost 2 full days. Neither man remembered a thing. Later, a local ranger confirmed that a weather satellite had logged no storm during that period. When they returned to the same site a year later, just to test it, Darren said he began hearing a low humming sound in the air. The next morning, he woke up alone. Luis was gone for 5 hours. When he returned, Luis was covered in scratches, disoriented, and said only one thing. "Don't ask me where I went. You won't understand." In 2015, a solo hiker named Matt Corden went missing near Pine Hollow, about 8 miles north of where Courtney vanished. He was gone for 3 full days. Then he showed up at a ranger station at sunrise, barefoot, shaking, with no pack, no water, and no memory. When asked what happened, Matt said, "I remember the trees bending. Like they were breathing. I think I walked between them and time just slipped." Under hypnosis attempted by a fringe investigator, Matt described a sensation of walking forever, a landscape of dark fog, something following him, never seen but always close. He said it didn't speak, but he heard its thoughts. It wasn't asking for help. It was asking for silence, for stillness, like it wanted me to stop being me. Matt now lives completely off-grid. He won't speak about the forest again. But his final recorded words during the hypnosis? "It doesn't live here. Not really. It just comes through and takes what it needs." As investigators dug deeper into her phone data from cloud backups, they found 17 photos from the first day of Courtney's trip. Beautiful landscapes, selfies, trees. But one photo, timestamped 7:12 p.m., had GPS metadata placing her in a spot she couldn't have reached by that hour. Nearly 5 miles beyond her estimated hiking point. Even weirder? She had texted a friend around 6:30 p.m. from the original location. Which means within 42 minutes, she somehow traveled 5 miles without moving through any known trails or being seen by anyone. The photo showed a strange tree formation, twisted pines in a perfect circle. And in the background, that same dark figure. This tree formation isn't just strange, it's part of a growing pattern. Several hikers have reported stumbling upon rings of dead pine deep in the forest, areas where trees form unnaturally perfect circles. Nothing grows in the center. No animals enter. Birds fall silent. And if you stand in the center too long, multiple people report headaches, nausea, a feeling of being watched, and time slips. One backpacker claims he stepped into one ring at 2:16 p.m. His watch froze. When he stepped back out, it read 5:44 p.m. Some researchers believe these circles are natural magnetic anomalies. Others say they're gates not to another world, but to another state of being. A place where time and identity don't follow the same rules. Ranger notes from the 1960s include a bizarre claim that some parts of the forest aren't fixed. Multiple notes refer to shifting tree lines and unmapped clearings that appear and vanish. A 1964 entry from a ranger named Ellis Rowe reads, "Saw same clearing twice, 100 yards wide. Stepped into it once. The second time I returned, it was gone. Just more trees." Modern GPS anomalies continue in the same zones, including Devil's Basin. Some techs report GPS signals bouncing 3 miles in seconds, paths appearing on satellite maps that don't exist on foot, and compasses spinning when entering specific clusters of pines. It's as if the forest is moving behind your back. Her last known phone ping, the one 6 miles away from the 911 call, was logged only once. It never repeated. The phone was never found. But here's what shook investigators the most. A forensic analyst noticed that the final ping contained unusual metadata. A 3-line code inserted into the ping's header. Not from a phone. Not from an app. Just 3 words. She was chosen. No one has explained how it got there. We thought we were tracking an echo, some old call bouncing off the canyon walls. But when the team played the scream back on site, the forest answered. 6 nights after Courtney's disappearance, search teams began rotating in pairs for overnight sweeps. These were risky operations, navigating pitch-black terrain, heavy forest, and low visibility. On August 17th, a 2-man night team, Marcus Dane and Shelley Nguyen, both seasoned SAR volunteers, hiked into the clearing where Courtney's tent was found. They were equipped with thermal gear, trail cams, 2 audio recorders, night vision headsets. Their goal was simple: place surveillance gear, stay 4 hours, rotate out. What they captured was never made public, but leaked audio eventually made its way online. It starts with silence. Then at 3:19 a.m., a scream. Here's how the scream was described in leaked transcripts. A single, high-pitched female scream. Echoing. Not words, just pure terror. 7 seconds long. Matches frequency patterns from the original 911 call almost exactly. But here's the kicker: neither Marcus nor Shelley heard it live. The scream wasn't audible to human ears. It was picked up only by the recorder. Experts say it was in the 17 to 18 kilohertz range, a frequency just above what most adults can hear. But not all. Minutes after the first scream was recorded, a second sound emerged, much lower, deeper. Almost like a growl, but mechanical. Rhythmic. Pulsing. 3 short bursts. Like breathing. But metallic. Like something wearing a mask. This sound was heard by both Marcus and Shelley in real time. The moment they heard it, their body cams recorded them both freezing, turning toward the trees, and whispering the same phrase. "It's watching us." They began packing their gear, preparing to leave. But just before they moved out, the scream played again. This time, it came from the forest. Audibly. And it was identical to the recording from just 20 minutes earlier. Some suggest the forest somehow replayed Courtney's original scream. But that doesn't explain how the sound was recorded before it was heard. Others say it's an advanced mimic, something that uses sound to lure, trap, or disorient. Shelley said in her report, "It didn't echo. That's what scared me most. It didn't bounce. It was like the trees soaked it up. Like they were listening." The team made it out unharmed. But neither returned to the site again. Enter Ranger Elias Trumbull, 44. Tough. No nonsense. Spent 16 years patrolling Northern California's roughest terrain. Elias volunteered to do what no one else would, spend the night alone at Courtney's campsite. He wanted to prove it was just paranoia, according to fellow rangers. He brought a tent, satellite radio, audio log recorder, a single GoPro, 1 flare gun. He hiked in before dusk and began recording his log. Elias audio log, excerpts. 8:23 p.m. It's getting quiet. Like, too quiet. No wind. No insects. Never liked this part of the woods. 10:41 p.m. I keep thinking I see movement just outside the firelight. Like tall shadows shifting. Probably just trees. 12:12 a.m. Heard what sounded like crying. Off to the east. Female voice. Said my name. But radio shows no one nearby. 2:03 a.m. Heard breathing. Right next to the tent. I turned on the light. Nothing there. 3:14 a.m. Frantic whispering, "It's here. It's in the trees." The scream wasn't her. It was never her. It's using her voice. 3:21 a.m. It doesn't want to be seen. It wants to be felt. I know you're out there. I can hear you breathing. Just come out. Please just come out. Static. The recording ends abruptly. When rangers arrived at 6 a.m., they found Elias alive, sitting by the fire, shotgun across his lap, staring into the woods. He didn't speak for 3 days. When he finally did speak, Elias said only this. "It showed me her face, but it wasn't her. The smile was too wide, like it had borrowed her skin and didn't know how to wear it." He left the ranger service 2 weeks later. Moved to Montana. Disconnected all phones. Told his brother, "Don't ever go into that forest. Not even in daylight." The GoPro? Missing. Only the audio recorder was recovered. A university research group attempted to use spectral mapping, a tech used to track ghost frequencies, to map where the scream occurred and how the sound waves behaved. They found normal forest terrain reflects sound in expected arcs. But in the area of Courtney's campsite, sound disappears. It's as if the forest absorbs sound, like an anechoic chamber. Their conclusion: this region of forest may not obey standard acoustic physics. One professor theorized, something in that area bends sound, and possibly memory. Over the last 15 years, at least 5 other hikers in Northern California have reported hearing an identical scream. One described it as a woman dying forever. Another said, "It felt like it was inside me, like my bones were shaking even though the air was still." A wildlife cam in Oregon, 300 miles north, caught a scream in 2016, a near-perfect match in frequency and waveform. Investigators say that Courtney's scream is not unique. Whatever is making that sound, it's been doing it for a long time. And it's not always staying in one place. An anonymous leak in early 2024 revealed the existence of a little-known government study known as the Whisper Project. Reportedly launched in 1989, the program collected over 300 audio samples of unexplained screams, whispers, and nonverbal vocalizations across 14 national parks. Some of the classified files were labeled Event Mimic Echo 1991, RO. Event Displacement Distortion 2009, Reading. Event Entity-Sourced Vocal Pattern, D. Basin 2022. The leaked files claim that in 20% of cases, scream patterns were matched across decades despite supposedly being from different people. The name most repeated in those files? Entity Zero Face. Codename The Silence. We weren't supposed to talk about Campsite 33. Even back in the 70s, rangers avoided it. They told rookies it was unstable terrain, unsafe for campers. But that wasn't the truth. The real reason? People who camped there didn't always leave. The earliest known report tied to Campsite 33 comes from October 1956. A man named Raymond Duval, age 41, went missing during a solo fishing trip. He had reserved an unmarked location via a local forest permit described in ranger logs as Site Number 33. He was experienced, familiar with the area, and had made the same trip 6 times prior. But this time he never returned. Searchers found his tent fully intact, zipper closed from the inside. Inside, a cooked but uneaten trout. A small radio still playing static. A camera with 5 undeveloped photos. His boots, wet but placed neatly outside. The final photo on his roll, developed weeks later, showed the inside of his tent at night and a dark silhouette standing just outside the flap. It didn't have a face. In July 1978, a couple, Todd and Marion Collins, camped at the same site, unaware of its reputation. Marion's journal, later recovered, recorded their first night as calm but oddly quiet. The woods feel strange. Like they're listening. No bugs. No birds. Like the trees are holding their breath. On the second night, Todd left the tent at 2 a.m. to relieve himself and never came back. No signs of a struggle. No footprints. No blood. Marion waited until morning. She hiked out alone, hysterical. Rangers found her dehydrated, shaking, and barefoot. When asked what happened, she reportedly said, "It whispered his name. Again and again. It used my voice to call him." She never entered a forest again. Died in 2003, still claiming something took him through the trees. After the Collins case, Campsite 33 was quietly removed from official maps. It still exists, and still shows up on some outdated GPS files, but the Forest Service began telling people the area was closed due to unstable ground or tree fall danger. But rangers knew the truth. One internal memo from 1986, obtained through a FOIA request, reads, "No further permits to be issued for C-33. Too many anomalies. Too many unexplained losses. Recommend total restriction." The note was signed by Ranger H. Graves. In 2023, a 38-year-old man named Nathan Reddick came forward online with a disturbing story. His grandfather, Jonas Reddick, was a ranger stationed in Trinity Forest from 1950 to 1962. Nathan said Jonas never spoke of his time in the forest until his final years, when dementia blurred his grip on reality and the truth began to slip out. Nathan recorded some of these conversations. In one, Jonas says, "It wasn't a person. People don't move like that. People don't stand still for 6 hours. People don't disappear through mirrors." Nathan pressed him, "What mirrors?" Jonas told a story from May 1955 when he was assigned to investigate a hunter who went missing near Site 33. According to Jonas, the hunter's tent had a small shaving mirror nailed to a nearby pine tree. When Jonas looked at it, he said he saw a face behind him, not his own. He turned and no one was there. He smashed the mirror on instinct. Then, as he examined the campsite, he noticed something else. Every reflective surface, the water in a pot, a watch face, a knife blade, was fogged, smudged, as if something had touched them from the other side. That night, Jonas said he covered every reflective object in cloth. My old partner told me they don't come through the trees. They come through the parts of the world that don't belong. The next morning, the hunter's body was never found, but his boots were, placed neatly at the forest's edge, facing away. There are at least 6 reported cases over the last 50 years of hikers encountering mirrors in strange places throughout the forest, hung from branches, set into tree hollows, or buried halfway in the dirt. None of them were left by other hikers. One man, in 1994, claimed he stared into one for just a second and swore the reflection smiled before he did. Another camper in 2007 found a mirror hung high in a tree with no ladder marks, no climbing evidence. Just a single pine branch bent unnaturally to support it. That mirror had one word etched into the glass. Come. In 2021, a YouTube explorer named Kayla Marsh attempted to document the hidden site using drone footage and deep map overlays. She never made it. Her last video showed her GPS freezing and spinning near Devil's Basin. The screen glitched repeatedly, then cut to static. She was found 36 hours later, 4 miles away, on a trail she'd never entered, shoeless, dehydrated, mumbling about someone else in her tent. Her camera was never recovered. Her final journal entry, mailed to a friend before the trip, said, "If I disappear, check campsite 33. I think there's something there that remembers people." A strange object was recovered near Site 33 in 1999, a small, rusted tin box filled with slips of paper. Each note contained a phrase written in different handwriting. Some of them read, "It's not a forest. It's a mind. Don't sleep near reflections. Cover your ears. It breathes through sound. It showed me everyone who's still inside." The box was sent to a university where 2 of the notes were flagged as matching handwriting samples from missing persons reports, including one from Emily Rowe. Courtney used her recorder like a diary. She spoke into it every night of her trips. But something changed on the last entry. Her voice got quieter. The words stopped making sense. And then she started talking about herself like she wasn't there anymore. Courtney's recorder, a compact Olympus audio device she used to document her hikes, was recovered 5 months after her disappearance, buried beneath moss and pine needles half a mile east of campsite 33. It was intact but water damaged. The files were corrupted. It took forensic technicians 3 weeks to extract the audio. What they found was a series of 12 entries recorded over 2 days. Each one chronicled her descent physically, mentally, and spiritually into something far darker than just being lost. The final entry has since been described as one of the most chilling first-person horror accounts ever recorded. Let's go through them. Entry 1, arrival August 9th, 6:14 p.m. Day 1. Reach the ridge. Views are insane. Tense up. Trails quiet, haven't seen anyone all day. Kind of eerie but also perfect. No signal obviously. Logging this just to keep sane. See you tomorrow. Courtney sounds upbeat. Calm. Normal. Entry 2, the first shift, August 10th, 8:02 a.m. Heard a sound last night. Like branches cracking. Not wind. Like footsteps. I called out but nothing. Probably a deer. Trees are dense. Moving slow today, compass feels off, but I think I'm heading north. This is the first time she mentions compass interference, a known anomaly in the Devil's Basin area. Entry 3, missing time, August 10th, 2:19 p.m. Okay, weird. I hiked for like 2 hours and ended up back at the exact same stream I left this morning. Same rock. Same branch with that weird split. I marked it with red tape earlier. Still there. How the hell? She laughs nervously, then goes quiet. It's like I'm walking in circles. But I swear I followed the sun. Entry 4, it watches, August 10th, 5:44 p.m. I just saw someone. Not close. Maybe 30 feet back, through the trees. Tall. Dark. Didn't move. I called out and it didn't answer. I blinked and it was gone. I'm not alone anymore. This matches previous reports from hikers and rescuers who described motionless figures watching silently from a distance. Entry 5, it follows, August 10th, 8:10 p.m. It's behind me. I stop, it stops. I move, it moves. I tried tricking it, doubling back fast. Still behind me. I saw it again. Closer this time. I think it's copying me. Like it's learning. The trees are wrong. The map doesn't match. Even the stars look different. Entry 6, The Circle, August 10th, 9:51 p.m. Found a ring of dead pine. Perfect circle. No grass inside. I stepped in just for a second and I felt cold. Not outside. Inside. Like I left something there. I don't remember getting back to the tent. This lines up with Part 4's coverage of magnetic soft spots in the forest, where time and perception are reportedly altered. Entry 7. The Whisper, August 11th, 12:12 a.m. It's whispering now. Sounds like my voice. But not. I thought I was dreaming, but the recorder was still running when I woke up. I listened back. The whisper's there. The whisper was isolated by analysts and enhanced. It says, "She's already gone." Entry 8. Voices in the Dark, August 11th, 2:27 a.m. There are voices outside. They sound like my mom, my best friend, people I know. But they're wrong. Like someone imitating a voice they've only heard once. They're asking me to come outside, but they never say my name. Entry 9. The Change, August 11th, 3:05 a.m. My hands don't feel like mine. I tried to hold my flashlight and it felt distant, like I was watching someone else do it. It's inside now, not physically, in my thoughts. It's finishing my sentences before I do. I feel it looking out through my eyes. I think it's merging. Entry 10. The Last Voice, August 11th, 3:46 a.m. Just 1 minute before her 911 call. She is cold. She is tired. She calls for help. But there is no help. She is not me anymore. I gave her body to the forest. The voice is still Courtney's, but her pronouns have shifted. She no longer speaks as herself. She speaks about herself, as if the thing inside her is narrating now. The last 5 seconds of the entry are just breathing. And then a whisper. She was chosen. An audio linguist hired by a private investigative channel reviewed the recordings. He noted several things. In entries 9 and 10, Courtney's vocal signature begins to change. Subtle pitch fluctuations and delays consistent with auditory dissociation. There's evidence of dual-channel vocal activity. 2 faint voices overlapping in the same body. Entry 10 contains non-human phonetic intervals, impossible to pronounce consciously. His conclusion. At the end, she was no longer speaking alone. In January 2025, a hiker in Lassen National Forest, 100 miles northeast, recorded a strange sound near his camp. He uploaded it to a backpacking forum asking, "Is this a mountain lion?" Audio analysts compared the waveform to entry 10 of Courtney's tape. It was a 96% match. The voice in that clip, the one speaking in third person, is now being heard in other forests. One final discovery. Audio engineers filtering the final seconds of entry 10 found a repeating pulse buried in the static. Almost too faint to notice. It wasn't noise. It was Morse code. Translated. DVILSFORESTSEES. I covered every mirror in the house. Every screen, too. It doesn't just stay in the forest. Once it sees you, it remembers. And sometimes, it looks back. Mirrors have been showing up in stories tied to Devil's Forest for decades. From Part 6, we learned about Campsite 33, where a hunter vanished after hanging a mirror from a tree. And about Courtney's grandfather's warning, it doesn't come through trees. It comes through the parts of the world that don't belong. But it wasn't until after Courtney's disappearance that patterns began to form. Stories from investigators, family members, and even online followers who started seeing her in places she shouldn't be. And not in person, but in reflections. Shelley, one of the SAR volunteers from Part 5 who heard the scream, suffered a breakdown weeks after her mission. She was staying in a hotel during a mandated leave of absence. One morning, the maid found her shaking in the bathtub. Every mirror in the room smashed. She told doctors she had seen Courtney's face in the bathroom mirror. Not her own, but something was off. She was smiling at me, but it wasn't a human smile. Her teeth were wrong. Too many. And she didn't blink. Shelley hasn't spoken publicly since. But in a private interview obtained by an independent investigator, she said, "It wasn't just her face. It was her voice. She said my name, but I've never met her. How did she know my name? By early 2024, dozens of people following the case online began reporting similar dreams. Being lost in pine forests, seeing a woman standing still in the distance, hearing her whisper from behind mirrors, waking up to the feeling of being watched. One Reddit user posted this chilling account. Last night, I dreamed I was hiking, alone. I turned around and saw Courtney. She looked terrified. She opened her mouth to scream, but no sound came out. Then she pointed behind me. I turned and woke up. A week later, the same user uploaded a photo of their bathroom mirror, scratched into the condensation. You looked. In March 2024, an envelope arrived at the Trinity County Sheriff's Office. No return address, no fingerprints. Inside was a single photo. It showed Courtney James, standing in the forest, facing the camera. She's wearing the same jacket from her last known hike. Her hands hang unnaturally still. Her eyes are pitch black, reflecting light despite the darkness. On the back of the photo, someone had written in faded red marker, "I see through her now." Forensic analysis confirmed. The photo was not edited. The paper was manufactured in 1998. The image was exposed chemically, not printed digitally, meaning someone developed this in a darkroom, recently, using 25-year-old materials. The photo has never been released to the public. A former deputy involved in Courtney's search, who requested anonymity, has since left California and lives in rural Idaho. He gave one recorded interview before going fully off-grid. "The thing I saw in the woods wasn't human, but it knew how to look like us. Not perfectly, just close enough to fool your brain for a second." He claims that after returning from Devil's Basin, he began to see Courtney's face in his TV screen, in windows, in his rearview mirror. He boarded up his house, covered all mirrors, smashed every reflective surface, then disappeared offline. His final message to a friend read, "It's not her anymore. It's just using the face. Don't look directly. Don't reflect it. It remembers your shape." A family member of Courtney's, her cousin Tara, claimed in an interview that she received a FaceTime call from Courtney's old number. The screen was black, no sound, but then a hand, pale, thin, pressing against the screen, then slowly dragging down, leaving a smudge that looked like fingernails. The call ended after 11 seconds. The number has never been active since the disappearance. When she cleaned her phone screen, she noticed something strange. The smudge was still there, inside the glass. "I couldn't wipe it off." She smashed the phone that night. Hasn't owned one since. Multiple folklore sources now refer to a chilling concept believed to be tied to the faceless entity in the forest. The reflection is not for us. It's for them. The theory is simple. Mirrors don't reflect what we see. They reflect what watches us back. And in liminal places like Devil's Forest, something uses reflections to bridge into our world. Psychic researcher Elaine Druitt published a now-deleted paper theorizing that some forest spirits are non-corporeal mimics, able to inhabit the imprint of a person once they're taken. They don't just consume the person. They wear them, not to haunt, to observe, and to return if someone calls them back. Her warning? Never look too long at a face that shouldn't be there. You're not seeing it. It's seeing you. A video surfaced briefly on YouTube in February 2025, uploaded by a channel that's since vanished. The title, "Found Something in My Mirror After Following the Courtney Case." The video, the man walking through his apartment, holding a phone. He stops in front of a bathroom mirror. Behind him, a woman's figure, silent, standing just outside the frame. He turns. Nothing there. He turns back to the mirror. The woman is now smiling. Eyes black, mouth open far too wide. He screams. The mirror shatters and the video cuts. Viewers claim to hear Courtney's voice whisper in the final frame, "You looked. I'm here now." What began as a single hiker's mysterious disappearance has morphed into something wider. A network of sightings, dreams, and visitations tied not just to a forest, but to mirrors, screens, and reflections. The common threads. The familiar face that isn't right. A voice mimicked perfectly until it speaks without emotion. An invitation. Come back. Or worse, let me in. And always, behind the mirror, something that knows your name before you say it. She looks like Courtney. She speaks like her. But something about the way she moves. Too smooth. Too slow. I knew she wasn't human. She was a photograph trying to pretend it was real. Let's start with what should have been a normal rideshare story, if not for how it ended. In August 2024, a man named Gabe Lawrence reported a terrifying encounter on Highway 89 near Mount Shasta, just 40 miles from where Courtney vanished. Driving alone at 2:40 a.m., he spotted a woman walking by the roadside, pale, wearing a blue hiking jacket and dark jeans. Head lowered. He pulled over. She didn't wave, didn't speak, just climbed in. I asked if she needed help. She nodded once. That was it. Gabe said something felt off immediately. Her breathing was slow, almost mechanical. She never blinked, just stared straight ahead. He offered her water. No response. Then I glanced over at her hands. They weren't tensed. They were posed, like a mannequin. No twitching. No signs of life. 10 minutes in, he tried asking her name. She turned, slowly, too slow, and said, Courtney. But the way she said it, like she wasn't sure if it was hers. Then she smiled, and her cheek moved independently of her mouth. Like the skin was shifting. Gabe pulled over and got out. When he looked back, she was gone. Since Courtney's disappearance, at least 7 separate sightings have been reported of a woman matching her exact description, always in rural areas, always alone, always silent. But here's what's strange. In 2 cases, the woman had no reflection in glass or store windows. In 3, she was barefoot even in freezing conditions. In 1 case, a convenience store clerk said her voice echoed even though she was standing right in front of him. Each time, she vanishes before authorities arrive. A gas station attendant in Price, Utah, claims that in October 2024, a woman matching Courtney's profile walked into the restroom, then never came out. Security footage shows her entering, but not leaving. The bathroom was checked immediately empty. No windows, no vents large enough to crawl through. But the mirror had a handprint on it. From the inside, the print was upside down. Courtney's mother, Courtney James, began receiving mail returned with no explanation in late 2024, letters she had written to a relative in Oregon. But what she found most disturbing was this. On the back of the envelopes, someone had written in her daughter's handwriting. Stop calling her. She's not yours anymore. No fingerprints were found. The postmarks were real, but none of the letters had left the local processing center. One envelope contained a Polaroid of Courtney at age 17. But her eyes were scratched out. In early 2025, a blood sample was found on a jacket abandoned in a hiker's shelter near McLeod, California. The sample was partial but matched Courtney James' mitochondrial DNA passed from mother to daughter. But here's the thing. The blood was still warm when discovered. The shelter had no signs of entry. Rangers checked the cabin just 2 hours earlier. It was empty. How could fresh, human blood with Courtney's DNA appear years after her disappearance, miles from the site? Unless something or someone left it. A researcher in Colorado published a theory on what she called entity mimic drift, the idea that supernatural mimics can imitate humans only temporarily. Over time, the illusion breaks down. Skin doesn't hold shape. Movements become unnatural. Emotional cues don't sync with speech. And most importantly, they forget how to pretend. The final stage? The entity continues wearing the human form even when it no longer remembers why. It just wanders, waiting, watching, hoping someone will recognize it and let it back in. Courtney's last known words from Part 7 were, "She is not me anymore. I gave her body to the forest." What if she wasn't speaking metaphorically? What if something stepped out of that forest in her skin, something that didn't belong in our world but could wear her like a mask? What if what people are seeing isn't Courtney but the thing that took her? And what if it's still learning how to be her? In December 2024, a family driving through the Trinity Forest region claimed their windshield fogged instantly in 40-degree weather with the defroster on. When the fog cleared, there was a finger-written message in the condensation. I got out. No one in the car had moved. The children were asleep. The mother began crying immediately. Why? She recognized the handwriting. It was Courtney's. The same loops, the same lowercase g. she used to write postcards to her niece. She signed them the same way every time. See you on the other side, Courtney. A 17-year-old girl from Sacramento posted to TikTok in early 2025. I woke up at 3:13 a.m. Someone was standing at the foot of my bed. I thought it was my sister. I said her name, but she didn't move. She was just smiling, not blinking, not breathing. Her arms were too long. The girl turned on her phone light and saw the face clearly. It was Courtney. She screamed. Her parents found her unconscious. She had fainted. On her phone, still recording, was a single frame, glitched but clear. Courtney's face, smiling, and her eyes were completely black. We thought the forest took Courtney, but now I think we had it backwards. It didn't take her. It released her, or something that looked like her. In February 2025, a backpacker named Carla Vance was hiking the southern edge of the Shasta-Trinity wilderness when she slipped near a washed-out trail. As she scrambled to regain her footing, she grabbed onto a low, dead tree branch and dislodged something buried beneath the soil and moss. A small silver SD card covered in grime, its label worn to nothing. Thinking little of it, Carla brought it home and uploaded the contents to her laptop. There were 4 images. 3 were corrupted. 1 was not. The image, timestamped August 11, 2022 at 4:21 a.m., was taken approximately 34 minutes after Courtney's 911 call. The metadata confirmed it came from Courtney's personal DSLR, the same model listed on her equipment manifest. The photo shows a wide-angle view of a forest clearing. In the center, a human figure, female, standing still. Her head is tilted slightly to one side. Her arms hang limply. Not relaxed, but disconnected. Her expression is neutral. Her eyes completely black. Her mouth partially open as if beginning to form a smile. It's Courtney, but not the Courtney anyone knew. The figure is framed against a grove of pines. But if you look closely, very closely, the trees appear bent. Not by wind or weight, but by angle. All of them are leaning toward her, subtly, like plants turning toward sunlight or worshippers toward a god. One tree's trunk seems to bow. Not broken, bending, like a knee. Some have described it as the forest kneeling. Zoom enhancement revealed something even stranger. The stars in the background don't match the real sky. An astronomer consulted by a YouTube investigator concluded that the constellation positions are rotated 17 degrees as if seen from a different point on Earth or not on Earth at all. In short, the stars in that photo should not exist in that arrangement. The conclusion? Either the camera malfunctioned or the place where that photo was taken wasn't entirely in our world. An image analyst working for a paranormal docuseries ran the photo through a 4K enhancement pass. What they found in Courtney's eyes changed the tone of the entire case. There's a reflection. Not of the trees, not of the camera, not of herself, but of a face. A second face, gaunt, tall, eyeless, standing directly behind her. So close, its mouth appears just beside her neck. Its jaw is unhinged. Its skin appears stretched over a frame too large for it. And its mouth is smiling. Hidden in the image file's metadata was a short hexadecimal sequence. Converted to ASCII text, it revealed a chilling phrase. This is not the last one. Since Courtney's disappearance, and especially after the SD card leak, new disappearances have begun echoing the same pattern, not just in California, but in Oregon, Washington, Montana, British Columbia. All hikers. All alone. All with devices that captured glitched audio, misplaced timestamps, or mirror anomalies. Some of them left behind journals. Most are fragmented, but the recurring sentence is now unmistakable. The forest chose me. A growing theory among missing 411 investigators and fringe researchers now suggests the Shasta-Trinity wilderness, especially the stretch near Devil's Basin and Campsite 33, is more than a hotspot for vanishings. It's a gate, not a portal in the sci-fi sense, but something spiritual, psychic, dimensional. A thin place where reality frays and something ancient, intelligent, and predatory slips through. Something that doesn't kill, doesn't chase, just waits, watches, and copies. Not everything that looks like us is us. In a 2025 interview with a now-retired Trinity County deputy, one final story surfaced. The deputy recalled something Courtney's mom said during a breakdown. I saw her once. After. I swear I did. She came to the porch, knocked on the door. But when I opened it, she wasn't standing like Courtney. Her arms were too long. Her smile didn't stop. She didn't blink. She didn't say she loved me. She said, you loved her. That's enough. There is no grave for Courtney James. Her body was never found. No remains. No pack. No phone. No definitive trace. Just a 911 call. A scream. A series of photos. And a face that keeps showing up in mirrors, in windows, in dreams, wearing her skin like clothing that doesn't quite fit anymore. You will see her again. Just not where you expect her. One final testimony uploaded anonymously. I live nowhere near California. I didn't even follow the Courtney case. But one morning I woke up and there was a pine tree in my yard that wasn't there the day before. Just standing there. Middle of the lawn. My dog won't go near it. My lights flicker when I look at it. And last night, I swear I heard breathing from the branches. This morning, there was something written on my bathroom mirror. Let her in. Thank you for watching. The Vanishing in Devil's Forest, a true horror case. Not every missing person is truly lost. Some are just walking toward us now wearing someone else's name.